Hi everybody. I wanted to take this opportunity to check in with everybody. I haven't taken the opportunity to check in just yet because I wasn't certain about what to say or what the plan was or how things would unfold. And so as things have become more clear, I wanted to take the opportunity to share with you what our intention is, the status of the studios, and what our plan is moving forward. Like for many, the lockdown has been an incredibly beautiful and challenging time. So my heart goes out to all of the other business owners out there during this time who are really analyzing to figure out if we can reopen, and if we can, how to do so responsibly, how to offer comfort and protection to our patrons, to our students, how to be safe, how to be mindful, how to open, how to salvage and save our life's work, our businesses. I know for many like me, just to be closed, my nut is over $14,000 a month between my mortgage and insurance, and property taxes in Cottonwood, to the rent of the 3,000 square foot place in Sedona, and all the insurances, and still having to pay utility bills. And just to be closed, for us, it's over $14,000 a month. And that doesn't include any of my mortgage at home or putting food on my table for my children. So luckily I was prepared. My father always taught me to prepare for worst case scenario, which I have in many ways in my life. And one of them was to prepare financially for something to happen. So I did have savings to get us through, and thank God. We have not received a penny in the loans. We didn't qualify for anything since the money ran out. We didn't receive a penny in grants. My family didn't receive a penny in stimulus, which is okay because we were prepared. But that preparation emergency fund is coming to an end. And so looking at our next step, which is to hopefully, as soon as it's deemed appropriate, to open. One of the benefits of the yoga studio is we already have, at Sedona Hot Yoga and Cottonwood Hot Yoga, we already have the floors taped out. So the yoga mat goes in between the taped spots. And the floors have always been taped out that way to give people 2 feet in between each practitioner, which if you've been to many yoga studios, sometimes you're inches. And so we wanted to tape the floors out from the beginning to give practitioners space to practice. And so because we already have the floors taped, the ability to place people 6 feet apart is already marked and down. And so we are prepared to do social distancing within the studio to give you 6 foot in between each person, measured out to a T, so that we can still practice together, but practice social distancing. A few other things that we are putting in place, and things we've always had in place, is the cleaning of the yoga studio. After every single hot yoga class, we spray the entire studio with a solution of food-grade hydrogen peroxide. It is stronger than bleach. It was one of the #1 things used in the Ebola outbreak. So it kills viruses, kills bacteria. There's no known viruses that can survive a 5% or more solution of food-grade hydrogen peroxide. Food-grade hydrogen peroxide is just water with an extra oxygen molecule. So water is H2O, hydrogen peroxide is H2O2. So there's an extra oxygen molecule, but the bond to that oxygen molecule is really weak. So anytime it comes into contact with like a toxin or a virus or a bacteria, that oxygen molecule breaks off and the oxygen sterilizes, neutralizes, kills the virus or the bacteria. And so from day one, we've always done that. The entire studio gets sprayed down with that, and then we mop it up. It's non-toxic. Like I said, it's just water with an extra oxygen molecule. So that's continuing to be done. We sanitize all the mats and the blocks after each class with that same solution. I have made antiviral sprays that are in both of the studios, so many bottles of this, and it is high strength tea tree and eucalyptus oil that is also antiviral. So people spray it on their mats, they spray it on their bodies, you can spray it in the air. And so those are available in space throughout the studios. And then I made some Thieves disinfectant spray, and it's made with thieves oil, which many of you are familiar with, which in and of itself is antibiotic, antiviral, but that thieves oil is mixed with alcohol, and the alcohol is what is in the hand sanitizers. So there's like 99% alcohol and thieves oil, and so those are spaced all throughout the studios, the bathrooms, just spray on the doorknobs, when you check in, if you're signing, just like at the grocery stores, the square space gets sprayed. So as much sanitizing as can possibly go on, we have going on to keep the space both super clean as well as to offer comfort and protection. And then the final step is, I'm considering this, I'm interested to feedback of, I have digital thermometers. I check my kids' temperatures every day anyways, but to bring in a digital thermometer so that we can ensure just a quick snap of the forehead will show if someone has a fever or not, that we can make sure that anybody who's practicing does not have a fever. And all of these measures to create comfort for those people who need yoga, because let's face it, yoga is a way that many people use to stay healthy. And I want to touch on a little bit of why is yoga such a boost to the immune system? Why is yoga prescribed by doctors? Why is Dr. Sina, the incredible naturopath who I'm blessed to have in the building next door, why does Shada have a whole section of medicine that she's developing called yoga medicine? What's the science behind it? What does it do to your body? How does it help people in times like this, in crises like this, when we have viral outbreaks or bacterial outbreaks that are affecting the masses? How do we stay healthy? Do we hide? The isolation is one. If you're not exposed to it, you can't get it. But for those that's not possible for, or maybe it's possible for a month or two, but not for 3 or 4, if you want to put food on the table, if you don't want to get kicked out of your home, you have to get back to work. How do we do that in a responsible and safe way? And how does yoga play into this? And so I want to touch on a little bit about the science of yoga. And that starts with the science of stress and what stress does physiologically to us to inhibit our immune system, to shut down our immune system. So we have 2 parts of our nervous system. We have the sympathetic nervous system, and then we have the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is also known as the stress response or fight or flight. And the parasympathetic is known as rest and digest, or rest and reproduce, and it's where the body heals. And we naturally shift between these 2 aspects of the nervous system. And when we get caught in a stress state, when it's not just something, oh, I got cut off, I got stressed, my heart rate increased, okay, well, I didn't get in an accident, and 30 seconds later you're back to normal, you're fine. That's a healthy dip into a stress response, and then once the stressor is gone, we return back to normal. But what happens when we are in constant stress? What happens when that stress response never turns off? What happens when we live there, when we stay there? What are the physiological effects? How does that in and of itself make us a compromised person, make us susceptible to being overrun by viruses? One of the main things that happens when we go into the stress response is the blood pressure increases, the heart rate increases, so your heart works a lot harder when you're stressed. And one of the reasons that the heart pumps faster and harder and works harder is so that it can send oxygen and energy molecules like glucose to the cells. So the cells need a constant supply of oxygen and glucose, and then the cells produce their own waste that need to be carried back out to be filtered out by the liver and filtered out by the lungs, so we can exhale the toxins out and inhale and replace it with fresh oxygen. And so the increasing of the heart rate accommodates the delivery system of this increased need for energy and oxygen, and this increased need for the body to detoxify waste. So it's very helpful. If you're being chased by a tiger and you're running for your life, you want your heart rate to increase. Another thing that happens is digestion stops, it shuts down. If you're running for your life from a saber-toothed tiger, you don't really care for that 30 minutes about digesting lunch. Your digestion stops. If you've ever been stressed before or really upset, you know that your stomach gets upset. So why do you get nauseous? Why do you get that icky pit, that feeling in your stomach when you are really stressed? It's your body shutting down your digestion so that all of that energy, it takes a lot of energy to digest your food. They say anywhere between 15 to 30% of all the energy available in your body goes to digestion and assimilating that. When we eat something, it doesn't just go in our mouth and then into our muscles. It goes into the digestive system where it has to be liquefied. And then once it's liquefied, then the liver takes it and takes out, and there's a process called liver methylation where it takes nutrients and it does this magical thing to the nutrients so that our body can actually use it and absorb it. So you're not what goes in your mouth. You're not actually what you eat. You are what you can digest, assimilate, and absorb. You can put something in this end and have it come right out this end a couple days later or a couple hours later and have none of it actually go into healing your body. So we are what we can digest, assimilate, and absorb. And so when we're in that fight or flight, that sympathetic nervous system, that stress response, digestion shuts down. And it does it to save your life. Again, you need that energy, that extra 30% of energy to run, to get to a safe place, to fight for your life. And so it's hardwired into us, this automatic process when we get stressed to increase your heart rate, to increase your blood pressure, to shut down digestion. The immune system is also suppressed. If you are fighting for your life, you're wrestling a bear, you are literally, it's life or death. You are gonna win and run, or you are gonna die. In that moment, it's life or death. You don't care about, your body doesn't care about healing from a virus. It doesn't care about attacking and taking over a virus that might take weeks to kill you. It cares about the threat that is in front of you in the moment, which is taking down the bear. And so your immune system is totally suppressed so that the energy that your immune system normally uses is available to you to fight or to run. So digestion stops, heart rate increases, which takes a tremendous amount of energy, and if left unchecked over extended periods of time, can be very damaging to the heart. And cause cardiovascular disease. You don't want your blood pressure to be high all the time. You don't want your heart to be going crazy all the time. Your immune system is suppressed, your digestion shuts down. This is a recipe for if unchecked. So if you don't just visit it for 20 or 30 minutes and then snap right back out of it, you go back into rest and digest. You can digest that wonderful organic kale salad that you had for lunch. Your body can absorb it, you're healing, your immune system can fight off the invaders, you're good. If we stay in that place of the body being in the stress response, we don't have the opportunity to heal. We don't have the opportunity to repair. We stay there, we're stuck. And then one of the final things that happens when we're stressed is the body tenses. The body contracts, the muscles contract. So we can fight or we can run. The body isn't relaxed. And when the body is tense, hypertension, right? When the body is really tense, really stressed, really tight, take a moment. Take a deep breath. Get out of your brain and get into your body and ask yourself, is my body tense? Do I feel stressed? If the answer is yes, if your body feels tense, you are shutting down the natural pranic pathways within the body. So humans have something the ancients call prana running through their body. Life force, the force that sustains and gives life. The Holy Spirit, some call it, that which initiates life, the breath of life. We have this breath of life. We have this pranic force flowing through us. And it flows through channels called nadis. These nadis within the body are things like veins and vessels, acupuncture meridian points, energy channels that flow through the body, lymphatic fluid. So there's actual physical channels within the body that carry this information that we call it chitta. So information and energy is constantly running through the body. Information through the blood, there's information carrying hormones that are sending and taking messages to parts of the body and then messages coming back. There's electromagnetic, there's actual electricity that runs through the body. Our brains work on electricity, so there's electrical signals running from the brain, from the heart to the body, giving information. A lot of information. There's actually more information that comes from the body to the brain, so it's a two-way communication system. There's information carrying molecules like ATP that carry energy along with them, and glucose. So there's a lot of physical things that flow through the body, the lymphatic system, the lymphatic fluid, the blood. So all of these channels, all of this information and fluid that run through the channels of the body, when there's restriction, that life force is restricted, that information is restricted, the body becomes stagnant, the body becomes tense. One of the greatest things that we can do for our health and to feel good is to create space. To create space within the body where this information, where this glucose and hormones and electricity and lymphatic fluid and all of these things that move us and create us and keep us healthy can flow. Because when it's tense, when it gets stagnant, and sedentary, it gets toxic. The Dead Sea is dead because there's not a flow coming in and a flow going out. So it builds up, there's a high concentration of salt, and it gets toxic. When the body is open, when the body is flowing, things flow in, things flow out, there's this exchange, there's this respiration that happens beyond the lungs, the breath of life that happens, the movement of life that happens beyond the lungs. And when we're stressed, that tenses up, that shuts down. And when we are open, when we're relaxed, when the body is stretched, when there's space, it flows. And I don't have to tell you this, you can feel this. You can feel when you're tense that the body is not doing good, that you're not living in your optimum health. And when your body is open, when it's relaxed, you feel good. And that's what yoga does. Yoga moves the body. Yoga creates space, creates this intercellular space so that the flow of information can happen, so that the flow of life can happen. When the body is stretched, when we do yoga, and we are opening our breath, slowing the breath, deepening the breath, stretching the body, when we're doing these things, the body relaxes. We stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is called rest and digest, or rest and reproduce. Another effect that happens when you're really stressed is your sexual function shuts down. No need to make babies if you're fighting for your life. So for erectile dysfunction, if you're somebody who's constantly stressed, that's a function of your humanity. You're not supposed to reproduce when shit's hitting the fan, when you're really stressed. So rest and reproduce, or rest and digest. When we move into the parasympathetic, the body heals. We digest our food. Energy is sent to the immune system, and the immune system is boosted, it's uplifted, it has energy directed to it so that you can repair, so that you can heal, so that you can feel good. And a byproduct of yoga, the breath, the stretching, is an activation of the parasympathetic nervous system. So it boosts our wellness, it reduces our stress response, we feel good, the body heals, our mind calms, the chaos subsides. It creates this calm in the midst of the storm. It quiets the chaos, it quiets the noise, it quiets all the distractions and all the what ifs and all the they call it chitta vritti, the twisting of the mind, the twisted mind. We have the same thoughts over and over and over. What if I get the virus? What if I lose my home? What if I can't open my business again and I lose everything? All these what ifs, and I'm not saying they're not valid, but they say over 90% of our thoughts are repetitive. So we just repeat the same garbage over and over and over again. It keeps us in this stress state. And when we move into the parasympathetic nervous system, when we do these practices, it quiets the mind. It stops the twisting. And one of the original texts written about yoga is to stop the twisting of the mind, to stop the spinning of the mind. And when that happens, we come present to the still small voice of truth. The still small voice of truth. So we open ourselves to a higher place to be able to hear the still small voice of truth, to be able to communicate with Source, to find peace, to be peace. And when we're peaceful, those around us become peaceful. When you walk into a room, what's the response from other people? Do you bring a lot of chaos when you walk into a room? So a room that was maybe quiet and calm, does it get agitated? Does it get excited? Or can you walk into a room that's filled with chaos, that's filled with disarray and fear and confusion? And when you walk into a room, do you shift the energy of that room? Do you shift the space? Do you shift somebody else's state just by being around you, because you're in a good place? When you're calm, when you're in your center, when you're in your power, when you are not freaking out and stressed out, when you're in a good place, it tends to permeate and saturate those around you. Just like if you're really chaotic and you're really upset and you're around people, just by being around you, they're gonna pick up on that and they're gonna start to feel a little uneasy. And so as a service to ourselves and as a service to humanity, it is, I feel, if you know the science and you know the benefits and you know the practice, to continue with this practice, to continue with your meditations, to continue with your yoga, to continue with your prayer. Prayer warriors, I shout out to you. I know many of us feel like this is our time to be able to create a body that is strong and healthy and vibrant, so that we can really step into the full calling of what we're meant to be in this time. A light of truth, a light of joy, a light of peace, a light of hope. So that's why I really feel like it is important. I don't feel like yoga is an essential service. I know yoga is an essential service. I know this saves lives. I hear on a daily basis from many, many people how when they leave their mat, when they leave the yoga practice, how it changes their entire day. how they feel so much better. They think so much better. Their stress is reduced. They can sleep at night. They're not as reactive when something happens at home, or they get upset with a spouse or a child or a business partner, that they don't react, that they are in a place of their heart, they're in a place of peace, and they attribute it all back to taking the time to do a yoga practice, and the ripple effect of that in the rest of their life, and then the ripple effect that that has in other people's who interact with their lives is infinite, and it's essential, and it does boost health, and hot yoga specifically is even more beneficial for health because we heat the room up to 103 degrees. So hyperthermia is what the body does in response to an invasion of a bacteria or a virus, heating itself up. Hyperthermia, taking the body temperature higher, creating a hot environment, kills viruses. And we know this to be true. And so hot yoga especially is a really wonderful practice for boosting the immune system and fighting off invaders because of how it takes advantage of the hyperthermia. So we heat to 103 degrees in the room, but there are times at class we get up to 105 degrees. And of course you're moving, you're generating your own heat. So 103 and 105 is a temperature that you can expect to be able to elevate your body to, which is a really powerful way to cleanse and clear the body. When the body heats up, the contractions of the heart increase, again to pump more blood from the core to the extremities. All the vessels and the channels within the body expand so that more blood can be pumped from the core to the extremities. So these are like your air conditioners. So it pumps hot blood away from the organs into the extremities to cool it down and then pump it back into the organs. So it's our body's own cooling system. And so if you have a lot of tension in your body, just the act of heating up, if you take a hot shower and you notice in the hot shower your heart rate increases and it feels like your body turns all red and you can feel like your pulse in your fingers, or a hot bath, you can feel your pulse everywhere. It's because it expands all your veins and your vessels, creates a lot of elasticity and pliability in your veins and vessels, and reduces a hardening of the arteries and the vessels. So it's a really wonderful practice of heating the body up and then moving the body, moving prana through the body. So hot yoga especially is and there are many studies. Harvard has studies. There are many really well-renowned scientists who have done studies on both the benefit of yoga and the benefit of hot yoga for overall wellness and a boost to the immune system. And so I am committed to open as responsibly as possible and as soon as possible. As soon as they say, Jen, you can open, I'm opening, and will be providing this service to as many people as I safely can, both for your benefit, because I love you, and that's why I have this space, and two, so that we don't have to close. My emergency funding is dried up, and perhaps we'll get some assistance. There's rumors that more money is going to be put into the loan programs to do loans for small businesses. And if that happens, certainly I will take advantage of it. But as of right now, all signs point to we need to open or we're done. And I can't let that happen, for as much as I know this practice means to me, and how it has helped so many others' lives. So to those of you who are a constant support for us, I love you, I thank you. I've had many people reach out with messages. I'm turning off my Wi-Fi and my phone, so I'm not on the internet, I'm not streaming. This is a rare exception, but I'm videotaping this ahead of time with my phone on airplane mode, and then I'll upload it and get it on. But I've been really getting sensitive to microwave radiation coming from the Wi-Fi and coming from my phone. My hands ache when I'm on my phone, and I get headaches when my Wi-Fi is on, so I've shut all that down. all that to tell you, when I turn on my phone, I get all the messages that come through, but to sit down and spend hours saying, I love you, thank you, and responding to everybody, I haven't. It doesn't make me feel good to be on technology, and I'm waiting to get my computer hardwired so I don't have to use Wi-Fi. But I see you, I thank you for reaching out, thank you for understanding, thank you for your support. Kudos to those of you that are continuing with your practice and continuing your wellness. And we'll be here to open, hopefully May 1st. May 1st is what I'm planning on, what I'm looking at, and all of our safety protocols are in place. I'm creating some videos to send out to our teachers so they're all trained and ready to go, so that we can be a light in this very challenging time. Thank you, I love you, and I'll see you soon, I hope.